He hates corruption. He's a bold fighter. I've been up against him a couple of times in the past through work, and I tell you, he's a big opponent. Lands good punches if you're the boss.
I thought you were going to say something else then.
But I can tell you absolutely, when he says something, he means it, and he sticks true to what his beliefs are. And I'm proud to call Paul a friend, and also introduce him today as an independent candidate for our seat at Crosby. So thanks, Paul.
The first thing I'm not going to do today is make a political speech. You don't need that out here. It's a very nice Sunday afternoon. So, I was talking about the Constitution and local government. The real problem has been local government has been squeezed. There's been a cap put on rate increases, and local government is finding it more and more difficult to raise the revenues to do the sort of things that have to be done. We have an additional problem in the city of Wollongong, which is a huge problem, which is a failure of governance. We've had corrupt administrations. We've had people who have flouted the law in powerful positions. I'm not going to talk about that today, but that is an additional problem on top of all the other issues that we're going to have to confront. But the biggest problem we have in this city with the administration of the city is that people are simply not given the facts and given the truth. To me, there are three issues here. First of all, there is transparency. I'm staggered that after almost 30 years of the levy being in existence, apparently Wollongong City Council has still not told the contributors to the levy where the money has gone, how the money has been spent, and when they intend to commence the major infrastructure work that's desperately required in this part of the city. I see Wollongong as having three cities. We've got the north. They've got all sorts of problems. If anyone's been to Thurrool lately, you can see the problem up there with poor transport infrastructure and overdevelopment. We've got the city that's around the great manufacturing industries that built this city. And then we've got this growth of a beautiful city which is out here, which has no adequate infrastructure and transport. Absolutely, completely dysfunctional. And as I understand it, there is a snarling traffic jam in the mornings. Quite clearly to anyone who's involved in the administration of the development of a city, it would be dysfunctional and a failure to have that occur. And it goes on year after year after year and gets worse. Meanwhile, the levy is still being collected. Meanwhile, people are asking questions. What happened to the money? Where did it go? I'm not suggesting that there's been theft of the money. What I am saying, and saying very clearly and loudly, and will be to the Lord Mayor, there's been mismanagement. And there's been a failure to be transparent to the contributors of the levy. That's the first issue. The second issue is, what are we going to do about the problem? There is a real problem here. Well, just as luck would have it, perhaps, Wollongong Council has distributed another glossy flyer, I think this very week of our meeting, to say that there is another feasibility study which will be conducted and money will be put into a feasibility study. Again, a disgraceful state of affairs that after so many years and after a desperate need, there is still a feasibility study, which indicates that there is a failure of implementation. I just ask people to ask themselves, what was the last significant infrastructure project that Wollongong City Council was able to deliver to this city? You wonder, what was it? Was it the mall in Wollongong? I mean, a significant piece of infrastructure that they have actually planned, they developed, they planned, and they've implemented what they've built. What have they achieved in the last 30 years in this city? So we have a problem, we have a real issue here of implementation. All right, I could sit down now and say, there's the problem. I want to be elected, vote for me, and I'll do something perhaps about it if I get into Parliament. And that's the way in which the politics of this city is being run. You're being treated with contempt and being taken for granted. Because time after time, we return the Australian Labor Party into offices and into positions of power. And until we teach them that the people here in this city can vote alternatively, until we teach them that unless they deliver, they don't get a vote. Until we teach them the politics that they're now running, Tony Abbott will eat babies. Tony Abbott will come and strangle your pet dog. In other words, the politics of fear. You can't vote against them because the others are worse. They can't give us any vision or any reason to vote for them. So they manipulate the problem. So what we've got with the Australian Labor Party at all levels of government is not solving the problems, but the management of problems. How to manage the dissatisfaction, the concern, the anger, whatever. And they do it very, very well. They run people round in circles. So we saw at the meeting 3 weeks ago, ALP representatives in 3 tiers of government. We saw residents with a really serious problem. Not only that, these residents have contributed financially to the solving of the problem. It's not just their residents who've got a problem. These people have been levied directly on the purchase of their properties to fix this problem. And what did we get back in reply from those 3 tiers of politicians? From the local government ALP politicians, apologies. One of them actually said, we're sorry. Then from the state member, she didn't say a lot at all. She was very silent for good reason, because the question would be, what have the state ALP governments been doing for the 10 years they were in power in regard to this problem? Then we had the federal member, Stephen Jones, my opponent, who had an opportunity at that meeting. I thought, hello, maybe Stephen's going to really show something. And what he could have done was he could have shown some leadership. He could have been honest and said this is unacceptable, and he could have suggested, let's sit down and have a strategy to solve the problem. What happened was, he actually curtailed the discussion by suggesting we break up into small groups and we don't go on with this. That's the politics of managing a problem. So, we end up in this city, continuing infrastructure transport problems, continuing dissatisfaction, people saying all the time they're not doing anything for us, but we really have to vote for them because the alternative is terrible and we can't vote for the alternative. Well, I'm going to move very quickly off the question of how you vote. That's for you to determine in a couple of months' time. Let's have a look at this problem. Let's start looking at politics, of strategic politics.